All right, guys, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. I'm going to be going ahead and giving you guys the top 5 stacks for Week 16. I have one stack that I think is going to be a very easy game stack to stack, and given the weather, it might be one that we want to stack more as the week goes on. Also going to be giving you guys my other favorite stacks, and then touching on my top stack for Week 16. If you guys enjoy the coverage, make sure to give a like and subscribe. So the easy stack is going to be going with the Minnesota Vikings going against the New York Giants, but part of that is going to be just how easy it is to stack kind of that whole game if you want to do so. And given the fact that the game is going to be played in a stadium, that's going to be intriguing to me because there's going to be a lot of poor weather games on this main slate. So this is kind of an easy kind of default way to go ahead and target a game that, one, is not going to be changed by weather, and two, could easily be a higher scoring game, and also a game in which is going to be great and easy to stack. So let's go ahead and show you guys the lineup process for the stack. So obviously we're going to go Kirk Cousins at the quarterback position. I do like that idea. Well, let's just put Jefferson in there. Let's put Hawkinson in there. I think that would be the starting point of this. Obviously, Justin Jefferson has just been a stud. Tough not to love him. 4 straight games of over 10 targets. 3 out of the 4 were 30 DK point nights, and those were against some good matchups. Okay, still was able to go for 18.6 against the New York Jets. Like, we like him as a play, obviously. Okay, so from there, what do we do? Well, I would say, like, I do want 2 of the New York Giants players. So whether that be like Isaiah Hodgins, who's very cheap for the production that he's had. 4 straight pretty solid games given the price point. Now obviously we would want more than 7.7 fantasy points, but he's on the field a ton, over 80% of the snaps. If this game becomes more of a shootout type game or more of a high scoring game, the Giants would be forced into throwing the football a little bit more. If that happens, someone like Richie James Jr. would be appealing as well. He has looked good. If you guys caught the game last week, you saw he was like eye-poppingly good. They need to find ways to get him the ball, and that's also part of the reason why he's going to be a decent value price point play at 3.9. And then obviously Darius Slayton, been playing extremely well. Daniel Jones seems to like him. I don't know. For me, I have been going with Isaiah Hodgins, but maybe go Richie James as well, add on to that stack. And then if the game is going to be close, you would imagine someone like Saquon Barkley would be having a good game. And just that game against Washington, he looks so much better than he had like the previous 5 weeks, really combined. It seemed like he had lost a step as the season had went on, which is typical for running backs. That's why some of these running backs will come in with fresh legs and look really good. They just have fresh legs. That's kind of how Saquon Barkley looked last week. So I do think there's a chance he has a great week. And then where else are we going? Well, for Minnesota, I do like the idea of going with KJ Osborne. I mentioned this, I think, in last week's stacking video, I believe. I'm pretty sure. I'm like, guys, you can play KJ Osborne in a little bit of your builds because that upside game can be there. And obviously that certainly happened. Obviously 16 targets, 10 receptions, kind of fluky, but at the same time, not really. Like, that's just kind of who he is. It's like a poor man's version of Zay Jones, where he's on the field so much that the big games are going to happen. And obviously in a pass-heavy game script, that helped him out a lot. So I don't mind KJ Osborne again this week. And then obviously trying to fill in from here. Let's go ahead and finish this build out. Running back wise, maybe David Montgomery. Flex, let's see what we got for a flex. I mean, if we wanted to play someone in this game, we could go with Richie James Jr. I actually like Marquise Goodwin a lot, even though he's currently questionable. Like, this would be a nice way to stack, but also get some of the top plays on the slate. Obviously, David Montgomery, more of a shoulder shrug play, more someone that you just end up on and feel good about it. All right, and now getting into my 4th favorite stack on the slate is going to be the Buffalo Bills. Now, the reason why I have it as the 4th favorite stack is I am a little bit worried about the weather, honestly. Like, it's going to be cold at that game, and I don't know, that could easily like cap what these players can do. So that's my biggest worry with that game. And that's why I'm kind of knocking them a little bit. Coming into the week, I probably would have said this is my 2nd favorite stack, but also it's not going to be that easy to like stack it as well because the Bears just don't have that many good plays or players. So Josh Allen, obviously we're playing. Diggs, we're trying to fit in there. It's pretty simple there. Maybe you could go Isaiah McKenzie if you wanted to. I'm going to go Dawson Knox. So I'm fine with this. Like, this is fine. If you want to go with David Montgomery, you certainly could. Khalil Herbert, I think, is expected to be back in this game. So he could actually be a sneaky good value play as well. If he steps into that RB2 role again, playing about 40% of the snaps, maybe in a little bit of a pass-heavy game, he gets a couple of receptions, maybe he busts a big play. Just in general, like, could be a decent play. But the issue is, like, the Bears receivers are so banged up. Like, are we going to go Byron Pringle at 3.1? We could. Caught a touchdown last week. He's caught 2 touchdowns so far. Playing a lot of snaps now. I just don't like that. I don't like chasing that. So that's part of the reason why I didn't make this a higher stack. It's points because the stack ability really isn't there. But obviously then you could just fill in with some of the rest of the good plays on the slate. And now getting into my third favorite stack on this slate, guys, it is going to be the Carolina Panthers going against the Detroit Lions. And this is going to be my third favorite stack because it is a value-based stack. You could really make a lot of stuff work by going with this. Now, I mentioned this already. Detroit really needs to score. Okay, Detroit needs to be good offensively in order for this stack to work out. But given the price points of this stack, it could easily work out. Sam Darnold has thrown a touchdown in 3 straight games. Those are all the games he's played in. Obviously, that's great. We need to get him to throw the ball 30 plus times for this stack to work out. But if Detroit is scoring, and obviously for a game stack, that's kind of the logic behind doing a game stack is that, one team's going to score, and that's going to force the other team into throwing the ball a little bit more into more fantasy points for other players. So Sam Darnold does make a lot of sense. You go Sam Darnold. Obviously, the matchup's great going against Detroit. And then we could easily go DJ Moore, who, 6 targets last week, 18 DK points. In 2 out of the 3 weeks with Sam Darnold at the quarterback, he has had some really good weeks. Got a little bit banged up against Seattle as well, but, it wouldn't be shocking to see DJ Moore go out and score 20 DK points. We could possibly get 40 DK points out of these two going against Detroit. Once again, the script needs to be there for that to happen, but it could. And then if it is going to be a pass-heavy script, I think Terrace Marshall Jr., someone that is playing a ton of snaps, 80 to 90% of the snaps, could easily go out and have a good game. He has looked good. He just needs the targets. Was able to score 8.3 DK points last week on 3 targets. So if we can bump that number up to maybe 6, maybe he scores a touchdown. But at that price point, especially in this matchup, playing that many snaps, that's going to be an intriguing price point play. Then obviously with Detroit, if they are going to be scoring, now Carolina Panthers have had a good defense, okay? So it's not like I'm expecting them to score, but you could easily go St. Brown. I mean, that's an easy plug and play, isn't it? St. Brown's just been so consistent. He's been in a lot of stacking videos because, well, we've been attacking Detroit. Thus, we've been running it back with Detroit, and he's been kind of the beneficiary of that. And then you could easily go DJ Chark as well, who Chark did see his snaps go down from about the 86% that he was seeing to about 77% last week. I'm not too worried about that. It was a tough matchup. He would be the secondary Detroit receiver that I still want because obviously he looked good the past 2 weeks prior to that. So he would be the one I want to go with the most. And then I do think there's a chance in which if it is a pass heavy script, someone like Chuba Hubbard would hold some value in PPR in the PPR sense. Okay, 3 targets the last 3 games, 9.7 and 18.9 DK points the last 2 games. If it's a pass-heavy script, he's going to play about 60% of the snaps like he has been. So once again, we need Detroit to score, and obviously we would want the Detroit scorers to be St. Brown and DJ Chark in that sense, and then we have a pretty good low-owned stack and also kind of like easy stack to make for lineup construction because then we can still afford to pay up for some of the studs that are available on this slate. Like we get the top running back then, and we get the top tight end, and then you could play whatever defense you want. Bears, whatever. I like to punt value at defense. So like that is how simple that would be. So I don't mind this build at all. And guys, obviously if we're doing a stacking video, we have to be doing a part that includes Mahomes and Travis Kelce. It's just kind of as simple as that. They also do get a great matchup as well. I think that's a matchup a lot of people are going to be chasing. So we go ahead and play Mahomes. Mahomes has been a stud recently, most likely going to be the NFL MVP now with the Jalen Hurts news. And I actually feel bad for Eagles fans, from Carson Wentz a few years back where he was kind of the clear-cut MVP, got injured, I think, in the same week, and then Tom Brady kind of fell into another MVP. Obviously, Brady played well enough to win the MVP, but you get what I'm saying? Like the Eagles fans, that's unfortunate because let's say they don't win the Super Bowl. It's nice to be able to say you've had the NFL MVP. And as a Packers fan, yeah, I get that a lot, actually. But Mahomes, just been looking good. Played well against Houston, which had been a team defense in which quarterbacks hadn't really been able to put up a lot of DFS points against. And obviously he went off against them, put up 25 against Denver, 20, almost 20 against Cincy. Like he has been able to produce against tougher matchups. So given the fact that he gets a really good matchup this week against Seattle, that's going to be highly appealing to me. 8.4 is a lot to pay up for him, but you're also paying up for safety. And obviously in this situation, it's going to be 4 stacking. So then obviously if we're playing Patrick Mahomes, we're playing Travis Kelce. It's kind of as simple as that. I don't think I need to touch on why Travis Kelce is a good play. From there, if you want to throw in a receiver, it does get difficult for KC, okay? Because I could see the potential where someone like Kadarius Toney would play more snaps. He only played like 1 snap, got a target on that play, okay? Obviously, he's a little bit banged up. But if we see that number bump up to like 50%, he could easily go out and break this slate. But they might just be trying to ease him back, trying to get him healthy for the playoffs. Okay, so the leading snap getter has been Juju Smith-Schuster. Obviously, 10 targets the last 2 games. I would say he's the one that you want to go out of your way to play. 5.8 is a decently high price point, but at the same time should be a good play for you. Let's say Tony doesn't get that many snaps, then it would still be Justin Watson playing 65% of the snaps. Now, he isn't doing much with those snaps, but just wanted to call that out. And then obviously it's going to be extremely easy to run it back. You could go DK Metcalf and then also Marquise Goodwin, who's going to be filling in for Tyler Lockett. And I really like Marquise Goodwin on the slate. So from there, if you wanted to go Jerick McKinnon and even Kenneth Walker, I'm fine with that. Like, you could easily stack this whole game. And if it becomes a shootout, obviously you would like that a ton. We would have to adjust it slightly to make it work. So maybe instead of Kenneth Walker, you're going with a different lower price running back, but it is simple to make that work. Now, let's get into my favorite stack of the slate. That's going to be the Seattle Seahawks. So just looking at it, guys, like, it's a very simple switch. Instead of going with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, you go with Geno Smith, and hopefully the difference between the stack or between the plays isn't that much. Like, Geno has been extremely consistent up until last week against the Niners, and he still had a good game against the Niners. 15 DK points against a strong defense. We would certainly take that. So you got Geno Smith, you got DK, you got Goodwin, and we also have to see what the news is on Noah Fant. I expect him to play, but if he were to sit for some reason, Will Dissly becomes a great part of that stack as well. Maybe, I'm not saying fade Kelsey, but you could potentially put Will Dissly in there as well. Maybe in a flex, because he would obviously see an increase in snaps. Like, very easy to go out and stack that game. And obviously, Geno Smith and Seattle Seahawks get a very good matchup going against the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe instead of Kenneth Walker, you try to afford to pay up for obviously the stud, Derrick Henry. Could easily do it. I guess for this, you couldn't. Maybe Saquon instead. Like, I'm fine with that. Or Stevenson. Like, we're fine with that. Okay, going to be very easy to stack the Seahawks this week. All right, but that's all I have for you guys for this stacking video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give a like and subscribe. Let's have a good slate, and as always, let's keep cashing.